Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to the match preview segment for Crystal Palace versus Everton. Everton go into this game, if you count the League Cup fixtures, with 4 wins out of 4. Spirit's pretty high, and I'm joined by Terry and Owen, so hopefully be very positive looking ahead to this game. How are you doing, lads?
Good.
Yeah, very good.
I'm not surprised we're enjoying the start of the season, of course. You know, it's back-to-back 5-2 wins. When's the last time we could say that? Apparently 1964.
There we go.
I was there.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically we go into this game with a 100% record in all competitions so far, which is excellent. How do you feel going into this? Confident? I mean, Palace are a tough nut to crack if the Man United game was anything to go by.
Which one? Who are you asking?
Well, you, Terry.
It's good. Don't ask the room. It's not how our show works. Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling as good as you can be. You know, considering the performances of the last 4 games. Even the B team playing well, aren't they? Let's be honest. Palace will be a tougher test. They're obviously a lot better defensively than West Brom are. And the thing for me is with Palace, their strengths are going to play on our weaknesses. That sort of left-hand side where, James has got like his free role. That's where Zaha will operate. He'll be in that space and he'll have mostly, unless, we do something to counter that with Allen or Decore, but he'll have a free run most of the game against Seamus Coleman. And as good as Coleman has been defensively of late, I think Zaha is, he's a hard player to man mark and to deal with. So I think this will be the toughest test we've had yet, but I'm happy going into it. That 11 players, the A team, the first team, I fancy that team against anyone in the league at the minute because we're playing really well.
Even with Pickford between the sticks?
Well, other than Pickford, but if we can score 5 again to account for 2 he's going to gift them, then that's fine by me.
Well, what's the price on 3 consecutive 5-2 wins?
Probably quite high, but I don't think Palace are going to give us 5 goals or let us score 5 goals. I don't know about you.
No, they're very stingy at the back, let's say.
Well organised, good team. I say this every time we do a preview for Crystal Palace. I always wonder why Crystal Palace aren't ever higher up the table than they are. I think they've got some really good players and I think they've got a really good team. They are a very, pragmatic, very, physical defensive side, but that doesn't mean they've got no quality going forward. I just think they have a base and they just like to add fast counter-attacking players onto that. But if you look at some of the players they've got, like that is it Eze? He's he's obviously new to the Premier League. He seems like he might be a good player. There's obviously Zaha. They've got a very robust centre midfield of McCarthy, Milivojevic, Kouyaté, or however you say it. Kouyaté, Wiley Kouyaté. Yeah, they've got some good players. I rate Palace. I think they're a very good team, and they're certainly going to be the hardest test we'll have had so far.
I can well agree with that. I think, given 2 of the 4 tests we've had at Fleetwood and Salford, it's obviously not saying much, and one of them's a newly promoted side. So, it's been a start to the season. It's been a nice start to the season, shall we say, to help the new lads find their feet. But yeah, this is going to be a real test, isn't it? Owen, how are you feeling going into this?
Yeah, I think any team we play at the moment, I feel like you're going to go into it with some form of spring in your step because of the results we've been getting and because we've been playing well. And we've looked pretty good at the back at times. I think West Brom first half was shaky and second half, who did we play the other day? Fleetwood. Yeah, that was pretty shaky. So we're definitely going to have to improve there because as we go along, we're going to face more clinical and more well-organised team. So we're going to give chances up. We're going to have to sort of counteract them with more goals if we're going to do that because teams will cause us more issues than that. As for Palace, I think anyone who follows me on Twitter or from this now or wherever knows I'm a big fan of what Roy Hodgson's done at Crystal Palace. I think apart from this summer, they've not really spent anything, and they're always a team that's competitive in the Premier League. I think you look at some teams, I think Bournemouth last season Brighton have even spent a lot of money, and they don't ever finish above Palace. And with a bit of extra quality this year, I think they'll finish in the top half. I don't know where the shouts that they'll go down came from, because it was always pretty baseless for me. But for me, this will definitely be our toughest game so far, without a shadow, because even though Tottenham are a better team than Palace, I would say Tottenham, I wouldn't say, because Mourinho was pretty pragmatic, but I think there's more emphasis on them to go and win the game, which played into our hands more than what Palace will, who will just probably have 30% possession and really keep it really tight.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think Palace are one of those teams that I actually like. Crystal Palace. It's like probably the only other Premier League team who I like.
I like a few, but I do like Crystal Palace, I've got to admit, yeah.
I know you have a soft spot for Burnley as well, don't you know?
Yeah, they're the other one.
Yeah, but Palace have got a really good home crowd, haven't they? Like, really good atmosphere, really good away day. You know, Palace are a good club. Like, they're one of the better clubs in the Premier League. And as I said before as well, they've got a good team, good players. I think where the shout of them going down was, I think the online football zeitgeist, like the football, the football channels. They all just decided this summer that Roy Hodgson was shit, and that was it. Like all the.
I think it was more like they had even worse form than we did in that post-lockdown period, and like went from 9th to like 14th or something.
Yeah, they were in the conversation for Europe after they beat Bournemouth. I think they went 8th or something after that, and then they got to 41 points, 42 points, realised they had no players and just threw the towel in.
I think the big question about Crystal Palace was always that they had an aging squad and they weren't really strengthening that, but bringing in the likes of Eze and a few others. I think they brought back Chouai back, a few other
Nathan
Ferguson,
right.
Another very young player, very good young player.
They're trying to get Brewster, I think, as well, or Ben Rama.
Either of them would be a fantastic addition to that team.
Steve Parish came out and said they hadn't made a bid for Brewster. That was all Sky Sports nonsense. Called them out on Twitter, didn't he?
Yeah, that was brilliant, not to be honest.
Yeah.
I love it. I love Carlo Ancelotti. Does his fair share of that, doesn't he? Just shooting down the Sky Bet bots.
Yeah.
My favourite was when he first came in. I think it was when he was we were linked to Ibrahimovic, and he went, "Yeah, I'll invite me for a holiday or something, but that's all you're getting."
Yeah. It's like when we signed Rodriguez, and one of the kids outside or a fella also asked Marcel Brands, "Are we signing?" And we went, "No, he's come to Liverpool for an holiday."
Class that, innit? I mean, to be fair, I think the way we're going about our business at the moment is generally class. I think that only adds to, we've got the wins on the pitch, but the feel-good factor's also coming from off the pitch. I think the vibe around the club at Everton at the moment is 10 times what it was at the end of last season.
Yeah, there's a buzz, isn't there? Like, you see that at the start of the season for a lot of clubs. Like, you hopefully it translates into a good season. It often does, but at the start of the season who's going to be good. Like Wolves have done it for a couple of years. Leicester last year. You can tell early doors when a team settles, and I think that's the thing. It's a case of you can see now at Everton that a new team formula has settled, and it's also, as we saw from the League Cup, although it's lower league opposition, it's lit a bit of a fire under some of the fringe players. Not all of them, but some of them are playing much better than they were after the lockdown, just regardless of the opposition, because they know they're playing for their futures, a lot of them, whereas before that they weren't.
I think that's a very good point, and also I think it was what we were hoping to see when we brought better players in, that it might be a rocket up the backside. I didn't believe it would. I thought some of these players were too far gone, but fair play. I think Sigurdsson in particular has been decent at the start of this season, and obviously a few others of the names who were very often named at the end of last season, they've all sort of stepped up to some extent, with the exception maybe of the man between the sticks.
Yeah.
Even he, though, had a good game against Tottenham.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. He's played 2 games since, and he hasn't been good in either of them.
I think the fact is he's always going to be better in games where the other team attacks us more.
He did that at Sunderland, how we had 40 shots at his goal every week. That's why he looked good.
Well, exactly. Yeah. I think it was the same reason he was excellent in our first season, because Allardyce was the manager.
Yeah. And even when Koeman was there and he was making great saves, it was because there was no structure to the team, and he was.
We get 40 by every team.
Yeah, that's why he would look good, because any keeper in the world would look good if they had 40 shots at the goal every week, because they're bound to save some of them.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's just something
it's
that
an old adage, isn't it? Like a broken clock still right twice a day, innit?
It was that thing with the keeper. It was with Southampton. The Southampton goalie a few years ago, for Forster. He looked good because Poole played on the goal line and say he made to save everything.
Yeah, Pickford it's a conundrum now, isn't it? It's an issue that like Liverpool had, Man City had, Chelsea are looking to have got the same issue now. Like when you've got a decent team, but the goalkeeper keeps letting them down, it only ever ends one way. Like Mignolet got replaced and Karius got replaced, and so did Joe Hart. Like we need, it won't happen this window. I think we've our spending in the past windows has prevented this. We'll have to put up with them for now. But I think next summer, unless we were to get a surprise couple of bids in before the end of this window, I think we'll be looking to address the goalkeeping scenario regardless. No matter what kind of season he has this year, I think his days between the sticks are numbered at Everton, because he's not good enough, is he? He's letting down what is otherwise a very good team by costing us goals.
Absolutely.
Even if you'd have had a look at the start of the season, you said, where's our two sort of weak positions? You'd probably say him, and you'd have probably said Seamus Coleman, but Seamus Coleman's sort of risen to the level. He hasn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, Neville Southall's actually come out today in defence of Pickford, hasn't he? Which is a very interesting one.
He will do, though, because it's not like he can't be seen to go and say, Everton's goalie's crap, is it? Because it's instant news then.
Yeah, he could say nothing, and I don't think Neville Southall's one to pull his punches, but I would suspect that Nev's trying to sort of protect the positive feeling so we don't slip into the negative, like player bashing, which we are prone to do. I think I would imagine that Southall probably just wants to get us off that kick, and it's probably going to work on a few people, and it's for a good reason, but it doesn't change the fact he's not good enough, is he? Let's be honest.
And I think Carlo knows it after last night.
I think he knew it before last night. I just think he can't do nothing about it yet, and he's trying to.
I think Wolves was his tipping point with Pickford.
Yeah. That 3-0 last season.
Yeah, I think he's from that day. His attitude towards him changed from then. Because if you listen to interviews beforehand when he first came in, he name dropped Pickford as someone who's going to stay around. Presumably, I think, because he thought he's England's number one and he's a young asset, so he'll keep him around. But from that game onwards, his attitude and the way he spoke about Pickford completely changed.
That's interesting. That was also the game where he pulled that face after he let it go through his leg. So I think that was the tipping point for many a Everton fan as well.
I reckon Carlo hated that.
Absolutely, yeah. I think any decent manager wouldn't want to see the players with that kind of attitude.
He wouldn't get away with most managers. The reason he's so far gone, I think, is because they had such a dead manager in Marco Silva who just had no personality to stand up to anyone. He wouldn't have gone in that dressing room and berated Pickford for that. I think Ancelotti probably would have.
Ancelotti definitely has.
Yeah.
Not that I tell Pickford's performances since, like.
No, but he's too far gone, I think.
We'll forget about the keeper issue for now, and obviously we've spoken about Palace. What can we do? How are we going to do damage to Palace, given that they have a rigid defence, as we say?
I actually think the key, and this is easier said than done, but I think the best way, the easiest way Everton beat Palace is if Palace sort of have more ball possession, because that in that case then they'll be playing higher up, and that's the only way you're going to get behind them, because I watched them for 90 minutes on Saturday and against Southampton, and there was no gaps in that back four.
Yeah.
That sounds about right to me. I mean, I've seen many a time us be frustrated against this lot.
I think a lot of it's to do with the midfielders, like McCarthy and co. Then James Rodriguez is not going to get an inch for free. He's going to be hounded all game, because they've watched Everton games same as everyone else. They know he's pulling the strings. Second he gets it, follow the two left-hand side players' runs and close him down. I think they're going to be well, researched on Everton. It's just about can we unlock them.
I think it's a big game for the players who you haven't name dropped there. Like you talk about Dean and Richarlison, and obviously Rodriguez pinging the balls over to him. It's on pretty much all the other players, I think, to make use of the space that they're obviously going to get left with when the Palace players try and shackle Rodriguez and co.
Yeah.
Obviously, it'll take a very bold throwback performance again from Seamus Coleman to bomb it up that wing with Zaha on that, like you say, on that left-hand side, the position he takes up.
You know, if Everton don't get a goal pretty early, you know exactly how the game's going to go, because it's easy to say break a team down, but they are literally so well drilled when they're at it. It's unbelievable. There's no space to play in at all.
I mean,
players like Decore and that, I think will be, and Andre Gomez will be key in this game. They need to pull their weight and make big contributions, because they're going to be all over. You know, Rodriguez, they're going to be all over Dean, they're all going to be all over Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison. So I think breaking through from midfield might be the answer, because obviously that's not something we've done as of yet. But it may be it may be the thing that they're not as set up to deal with, because you can only set defence against so much, and they know it's going to be stop the ball going to Rodriguez.
Definitely. So, with that in mind, predictions, Terry?
I'm going to go 2-1 Everton.
It's going to be a close one, Owen.
1-1.
1-1. I'm going to go for a 1-0 Everton win. It's going to be a cagey one.
It'll be cagey.
I like to think Pickford's going to keep his blunders in check for 90 minutes for once, and we'll be fine. So there you go. There you go, guys. Let us know your opinions on the Palace game, going into this game, how you're feeling. Optimistic. Obviously, as we've said a lot on this show, it's probably one of the toughest tests we've had so far, if not the toughest test. Let us know how you're feeling. Drop us a comment, give this video a like as well. Subscribe for more great content as well, and ring the bell to get notified and whatnot. And until next time, thank you guys for watching on the Toffee Blues.